Hey, everybody. If you're listening to this, thank you. You're the only people who know that I'm saying thank you if you're listening to this. If you're not listening to this, me la pelan cabrones. That's kind of cussing in Spanish, but not really. I could do it because it's in Spanish. And you probably don't speak Spanish. And so I can do it. So it's not going to offend anybody. And even if it would offend somebody, they wouldn't hear it because I was talking about the people that are not listening to this. So my guest on this episode is Saura Johnston. And Saura Johnston is an entrepreneur. And I met her several years ago. And she's really cool. And she's a young lady who is remarkable in the sense that she's taken on starting businesses from an early age. And I'd like to remind you that I have a tip jar at the podcast website, atlanticradio.blogspot.com. Enjoy the show. The Umbrella Corporation. Our business is life itself. This podcast episode is brought to you by nothing.
Try it for free.
Found things there.
Okay, we're going to record now.
Okay.
You want to keep talking about what we're talking about?
Sure, we should probably start over.
Okay, go ahead. From the beginning.
Okay, so my point is that when you love a local business and you buy from, okay, good example is a coffee shop. When you love the Bold Beans of the world, but you buy the Starbucks of the world, you can't, you have yourself to blame if you didn't buy from the Bold Beans of the world and that company goes out of business, or that location of that company goes out of business. Because, I mean, and I've been in that position now multiple times where I've been like, oh, it's gone. Yeah. But then I have to be like, well, crap, I've only been there, twice in 2 years. That's on me. That's on me because I had a responsibility to support that place. Like, my contribution is like a massive portion of their yearly profit, just on coffee alone. 4 times 52, that's over $200, right? If I spent $4,
you're asking me about math?
Yeah, if I spent $4 a week for 52 weeks, 50 times 2 is 100, 50 times 4 is 200. So that's over $200 a year in revenue. Okay, then let's just say I got 10 coffees a week. That's $2,000 a year in revenue. That's like a significant portion of a local business. That could have been 1 month's rent.
Yeah. Wait, 1 month's rent? What, 2,000? Where are you living?
Let's just say I got. All I'm saying is if I got 10 cups of coffee.
Do you have a penthouse somewhere in town here?
No. All I'm saying is if I got 10 cups of coffee a week, which there are people who do that. I don't think I drink that much, and I got those 10 cups at Starbucks for $4 a piece. That's $2,000. That's, that's cool. But at a local business, that's a massive portion of their annual revenue.
So, speaking of local businesses, I don't know how relevant this is to what you're talking about, but it's related to local businesses. I know of local businesses that are supported, like boutique shops, by one super wealthy person in town that goes there, and they rely on this person buying $3,000, $4,000, $2,000 a month of stuff, and they come in every month and they buy that. Yeah. Without this person, this boutique shop would be in the red,
right,
or in the black. I don't know what it is when you're breaking even. Like they would either be breaking even or just like not being able to pay their rent.
Right.
So they started sending postcards to these customers and gifts and things like that to them to show their appreciation. Instead of just saying thank you for coming, they started taking steps towards that. I don't know, maybe I don't know if people would want to get mail from like Bold Bean or other businesses, but if they did things like that, I don't know, it might improve things. I didn't know that they were in trouble, like if Bold Bean is in trouble.
Yeah, I don't know that they were in trouble. What I think that
because you mentioned that they were opening a place downtown and
and they're opening a location in San Marco.
Okay. Hey, am I loud? Am I louder than you through the speakers?
No, I sound louder than you.
Okay, I can't tell.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's the bias of me hearing my own voice either.
No, that's probably what I'm going through. I'm hearing my voice bounce around here. Like, okay. It doesn't matter. I'll fix it afterwards anyway.
Okay.
So
More work for you.
Yeah. So so you feel a responsibility to support these local businesses because you think it's up to the community to support the local businesses.
It's the community's responsibility. And I think it's even I think it's not even as philosophical as that. I think it's more so about just like fundamentals. It's about like if you value something, you should support that thing so that it can continue. Like that's just like principles type of deal. So like I can't sit here and say like, oh, I care about the environment, and then like go to Chick-fil-A and get a bunch of styrofoam cups. Like that seems like it's not in alignment. Like I want to be in alignment with that's what I'm saying is like I've noticed something in my purchasing habits that's not in alignment with my values. It's out of integrity to say, oh, I support local coffee shops. I care about local coffee shops staying in business, but that's not where I'm spending my money. That's not where I'm bringing my meetings. That's not where I'm introducing new people.
Yeah, living with integrity is amazing.
Yeah.
I do it quite a bit.
You do. You're very good with that. I mean, a lot of people...
But you can't be perfect. You know,
No.
If you start going to the point where you start becoming perfect, you become like the crazy vegans.
Right.
Not that all vegans are crazy, but...
Right.
Or extreme.
But there are
like
the crazy vegans, and everybody knows when you say the crazy vegans,
they know
exactly what you're talking about. That's
yeah,
an easy
because
example.
you become very militant and you become very... And it's not about... I have friends that are crazy vegans. Okay. And it's not about... We don't talk about this very often because it's a inflammatory subject between us, because me and them, them and I, and they. It's not about like you said, buying styrofoam cups. It's not that styrofoam cups are bad; it's that using so much of them are bad. It's not that eating chicken is bad; it's that eating a lot of it is bad. It's not that, It is, take your pick, whatever it is.
Yeah. It goes back to that common idea of anything in abundance is bad. So just to take things in moderation.
But so what do you do? How do you reconcile that when we live in a culture where abundance is the goal, like all the time, like to just like, like we were talking about earlier. You have something that you like. Let's get more of it and more of it. The question that comes into my mind a lot recently, philosophically, is just because you can, does that mean that you should?
Yeah.
Because we can do a lot of things now.
Yeah, it's interesting because you skew on that side of the question, and I am just excited. Like I operate in this optimistic place where I'm just so excited by the possibility of what we can do with our widened ability to do things like in technology and technology especially in business, like all this great power that we have. I just think it's so amazing. And here's this person that's saying like, well, should we have all this power? Like you're just like asking that question. Should we go there? Should we pursue that?
Because humans, they don't have a track record of being able to dominate the world. Like it fails every time. But every time they're like, this time we're going to do it. Alexander the Great or the pharaohs of Egypt. I don't know if they try to do that. China, if they tried to do it. Greece, Rome, it just goes on and on. The Huns.
Yeah, I think that we have a good system now in that we have multiple superpowers that live like this is kind of where our territory is, and it's kind of going to stay, and it's not really going to be okay if you pursue more territory at this point. All the territory is kind of spoken for. I kind of like where we are as far as that goes. Now, of course, there's always conflicts and things, but we have a really interesting way with tribunals, with international law, to seek balance in those types of conflicts, as opposed to we don't have to go straight to warfare to resolve certain conflicts the way that we had in the past. When these things came about.
Conflicts? You mean
conflicts
like when
of territory.
Somebody has like some resources and those are our resources that you're living on? Like that kind of thing.
No, I was talking about conflicts of territory. So like,
okay.
you know, like
like America's like, hey, that's you guys. You guys happen to be living on our oil, right? Right now, you people over there in the Middle East. That's our oil. Or it's gonna be. We're gonna come up with a pretext for it. You know what I'm talking about that? Well, what are you talking about? You're talking about conflict of territory, like the British and the people of India.
what is it, the South China Sea,
Oh, okay.
where they have the conflicts with China, with the Chinese, the Philippines, the locals that live on the islands, there's several ethnic groups that use that as a fishing hub.
Yeah, the Anunnaki.
Anunnaki.
I just made that. That's a word from aliens.
Oh,
Aliens.
you got me good. I was about to incorporate that into my. Oh, that.
I wouldn't let you do that.
I'm always open to learning. It's put me in some bad situations. You know, I thought up until 2 years ago, I think I told you this in the last time we had the podcast. I thought up until 2 years ago that we had gone to war with Iraq. And there was like so many people at my age that think that we went to war with Iraq.
What? Yeah, I'm confused.
We were never at war with the Iraqi government.
But you're talking about in
Bush's era,
the
yeah.
rhetoric of
Yeah.
it, or in the official documentation of it?
Neither. Like there was never any point in which we were at war with Iraq's government as a like our independent country was not at war with their independent country.
You're talking about they did not declare war,
We did not declare war on Iraq.
but bombs were dropped and
Yeah.
munitions were fired and
Right.
people were killed.
But do you understand
By
that
the
like
hundreds of thousands.
do you understand like how like
We're not at war.
how
with
it
you.
could be like confused from a perspective of like, oh, we're at war with terrorism. And we're actually working in tandem with the Iraqi government to remove certain threats from their territory that actually kind of didn't exist. For quite a few of those threats did not exist because the intel was bad. We know that. But what I'm saying is that growing up in that era, listening to what was said, I thought we were at war with Iraq until very recently. We were never, not in the way that we were at war with China, not in the way that we were at war with Germany.
Right, but
As two sovereign nations, we were not at war.
I'm still confused because Saddam Hussein was the leader of Iraq. Mm-hmm. He was their president, dictator, whatever.
Dictator.
Yeah, he was their leader,
Mm-hmm.
and
We
people went to go find him, and they found him in a hole supposedly, and they executed him.
Mm-hmm.
The United States found him,
Right.
and then Baghdad was bombed, and Fallujah was destroyed, and people had to move,
Yeah.
and people died,
Right. Some innocent,
men, women, and children.
so many innocent.
Yeah,
died.
but we were not at war with,
Iraq.
even though his leader, the Iraqi leader, was toppled
Right.
because he didn't say, "I'm going to war with you guys."
No, like there's a distinction in the way these conflicts are looked at. And so it's like an oversimplification to say we were at war with Iraq because bombs are dropped inside of their territory.
But that's like saying, let's
But
say some guy came and then he kicked my ass and he chopped my arm off and he beat my leg up with a bat and then he bit my ear off and he said, "I didn't really beat on you, Goliath, because I never declared war on I never said I was gonna like go to war with you. I didn't ever say I was gonna."
Do you understand like the difference though? Because like if we're at war with Iraq, then the Iraqi military would have been deployed to fight against us in a conflict, and we would be taking Iraqi territory, and that would be like the measure of our success would be.
They did.
How
They
much
had flip-flops on and T-shirts and cut-off jeans and these old Kalashnikovs laying around from places. Do they even have an army? What does the Iraqi army uniform look like?
I believe it's like a dark green, and they have these like black bands on their arms.
That's it. Oh, I don't know what it looks like.
Yeah.
I bet you like nobody on my block knows what it looks like.
No, I
except for,
don't.
like,
I
some
don't even.
people.
I don't even know if that I'm right. I hope somebody watches this and just corrects me and was like, actually,
I've seen it. It's pink.
it would be very easy for me to pull out my iPad and search it, but I won't.
Yeah.
So that's like another thing we disagree with
What? iPads?
about about how amazing it is to have all the information of the world just to search away.
Some information, yeah, like recipes and auto repair and computer repair. Yeah, that's all great.
I also think it's cool that I could search what the Iraqi uniform looks like, and I could see that too. And I could see like the estimated casualties from the Iraq war.
Yeah, but you have to remember, you're talking to a dude who hasn't had the internet at home since November. How many months is that? 10?
November?
8, 9? Something like that. So it's been a long time, and my brain has changed.
Yeah. And I think that I've immersed myself more and more into the internet.
So you're telling me, so you can search those things, right?
Right.
But then, like, for example, my brain pictured a pink uniform for the Iraqi army. Would that have happened if I would have searched on it for the internet? No, because I would have outsourced my imagination.
My brain picked a green uniform, but at some point you have to decide what's more important in the situation, to be imaginative or to have the fact of the situation.
Obviously, to be imaginative.
We'll have to disagree. We'll have to agree to disagree on that too.
Because this is not. It's not like we're not making policy here.
No, but we are going to have certain perceptions of events, and I think that those perceptions should probably be based on as many facts as we can gather.
You mean the propaganda from the fourth arm of the government, the media?
I think that there's plenty of critics that would supply a different position if you searched on the internet. I think you can get a lot more perspectives in the propaganda of the government, especially by the Iraq war. And I also would take a step further and say that all or most of our current government would agree that the Iraq war was a huge mistake. I think that's kind of consensus at this point.
There was a huge faction. There was stadiums and stadiums full of people that knew that was a mistake before it started.
Right. There was one particular woman who spoke out, and she went on media tour. She was like a comedian. Her name is escaping me, but it was like she was speaking out, and she was being interviewed.
You're talking about in 2003?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was politicians, and there were
No, I'm just saying this particular
scholars.
woman stands out to me because I was listening to a podcast about her story, and it was all coming back because I remember my uncle used to talk crap about her. I'd be oh, that woman's a lunatic.
Yeah, she's a lunatic. She doesn't know. She doesn't understand.
Yeah, we got to defend our territory. Yeah. And I don't think a single person would blame us at the time that it was happening to go after the seeming enemy of our country and to try and be rid the world of somebody who attacked us. But that wasn't what happened.
No, because Iraq had nothing to do with any of it.
And then we were spreading democracy. I wonder how that went.
It's not going very well.
I wonder how the stability is in the government right now in the countries of Iraq and Afghanistan.
I mean, the first thing that comes to me is I don't think about the government. I think about the people. But I'm just how is it going for the people?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if a government is stable, it's a lot better for the people than if the government is unstable. Sudan and South Sudan being a great example of that.
I mean, I guess the government was stable under Saddam Hussein.
Which is why there's many who argue that Saddam never should have been removed from power. And it's why Putin argues that, in Syria, help me out.
Oh, arguing Putin in Syria with the rebels?
No, with the president in Syria. Help me out.
His name Bashir.
Bashir al-Assad. Yeah. That al-Assad should be kept in power regardless of the situation, because the problem of his instability, if he was removed, is worse than the current position that he's in right now.
I've been following things about Syria on Twitter for, I don't know, 2 years.
Okay.
I still don't know what's going on. I know that people are dying and it's terrible, and I'm I think I'm for the rebels.
Yeah, and then you realize...
No, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And then Bashir, and then people are talking about Bashir bombed this town and the city, and that he used those munitions that spread out, whatever they're called, cluster bombs and things like that, which are terrible. Mm-hmm. And I'm this dude's a monster. I'm I'm not for that guy.
I've read stories about the Israeli government
using cluster bombs.
not cluster bombs per se, but like the way that they
I've seen
retaliate
pictures.
against Pakistanis.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the same kind of thing. I'm like, this is awful. Like, but I don't want to say like, oh, I don't like Israel. You know, I don't like Israel. Blah blah blah. Like,
I definitely don't like their government.
but like,
No.
I mean, it's hard for me to make that distinction. But like at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Maybe part of it is because we don't have to make those decisions. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's because we don't have to make those decisions, so that it puts it in a different perspective. When your people are being bombed and murdered and kidnapped, maybe you would retaliate in a different way if you were in that position.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying you could say that argument for the Palestinians, and then people get into this argument, this circular argument of, is it the chicken or the egg?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's your fault. Well, no, it's your fault. Well, it's your fault. No, it's your fault.
Oh, that root cause argument when it comes to Syria is very interesting, because there has been very compelling discussions drawing back to the moment we were talking about with Iraq, that the situation in Syria is directly tied to that by this whole series of events of instability in the region. Which is hard to make that argument, because 1,000 years has been instability in the region. 1,000 years there's been.
1,000 years is a long time.
Yeah, 1,000 years there's been, you know, certain types of ethnic conflicts, certain types of religious conflicts, certain type of territory conflicts. There's been.
I wonder what the United States would look like if Europeans never came here, or if they never took over.
Oh, I
here.
think it would be very
like
similar.
I wonder what it would look like here. Like if Native Americans were still here, I wonder if the Native Americans would still be living the life pretty much the same way that they were living. And what an interesting place it would be to look at, this place like that.
Yeah,
like
that's why I liked that movie that DiCaprio was in here recently, where it was set in that time where we were just starting to take territory from the natives.
What's the name of the movie?
I don't remember.
It's a new movie?
The Revenant.
Oh, I haven't seen it. It's good? I should watch it.
It's good. It's a different movie than most movies. It's basically very first person, very intensely following this one person's feelings and journey. Mm-hmm. Usually films have this whole like plot around them, and you can follow it almost sequentially, and you see, okay, this is the person, and now all of a sudden they're thrown in different circumstances, and then they're dealt this big challenge, and you don't know how they're going to overcome it, and then the guide comes and they lead them along their way, and then there's this great resolution, and then it's happily ever after, blah blah blah, roll the credits. And that's like most movies. This movie is not like very plot driven. It's mostly about like, holy shit, life is hard. That's that movie. And it's like it's showing how life was hard in a very particular time period.
Life is hard. I find that life is hard if you really care.
Yeah.
If you don't give a shit, everything is easy.
But you're talking about you're talking about how the U.S. would look if the Europeans never came, and I think it's very easy to find that they're still untouched by modern society African villages,
but they would be surrounded by the world
and,
as it changed around them.
I mean, look, there's Aborigines that in Australia.
Yeah.
Did I tell you my memory issue? It's like a real serious situation.
It's the internet. I'm sorry to tell you, it's the internet.
It actually started like.
I dare you guys to get rid of the internet at home for 6 months and see what it feels like.
I don't think I'm going to do that.
You should do it.
I don't think I'm going to do that. But it's an interesting
I'll tell you how to
idea.
do it. You can totally make everything work. Look, I'm still alive.
I know you do, but we have different values. That's part of it. But,
well, how can there be different values? You don't want peace of mind, and you want your memory to improve or not?
I do want my memory to improve, but I don't know if that's what's causing it. I don't know. Anyway,
so tell me about your memory thing.
So I want to touch on this thing with the Aborigines, because that's interesting.
Oh
yeah. So the Aborigines, there are Aborigines that still live. Not very many of them, mind you. Many of them have moved into cities, and they just venture out into the countryside on the weekends.
In Australia. Put another shrimp on the barbie.
But
nobody says that over there, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
So they've moved into the city.
There's many that have, but there are some few Aborigines that have not left their way of life at all.
I would be one of those right there.
And there is these cities that have come up around them in this. They've moved so far historically. So I have this theory. I have this theory that nothing ever dies. That there's somewhere out there is cavemen still. as
Like one.
as society continues to evolve, there's still like that few people like keeping it alive, keeping the.
Me. That's me.
Yeah, you're the caveman.
Captain Caveman. You wouldn't know anything about that. That's an
wouldn't.
old ass cartoon.
Nope, no
I didn't
idea.
even like it when it was around. Yeah. And so you think there's cavemen around?
Oh, absolutely.
You believe in Sasquatch?
I don't know about all that. I used to have this art teacher. Oh, I hope some of my Facebook friends see this. I used to have this art teacher. God, he was psycho.
Wait. But I want to
He
know about you.
literally spent-
I want to know about you thinking about that there's cavemen still living around.
Oh yeah, so like most societies, like except for in certain situations, like because all the societies have been wiped out completely. But for those who haven't faced catastrophic, some type of catastrophic situation in which their entire civilization was wiped from the face of the earth, pieces of their civilization is still kept alive by a small minority. And we see this with the natives. We see this with the Aztecs. There's people who live in
Mayans, they live on a mountain.
Yeah. Yeah. And so anything that we want to see from a much earlier time, for instance, there's people in England that are still living like it's 1400.
Really? Where?
Yeah, there's like this.
You know what you could do? You could write a book about this. You could write a book and then make a website about it, and then
I could, and then I could like
you could travel
try
the
to get
whole
more and more
world.
money,
You could travel the whole world
and
doing
just like
this.
grow a whole following around it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. This could be like my deep lesson that I leave behind. No, actually, I think I'm gonna leave behind more of an impact on the business world. But
I think you're gonna start a cult if you ask me.
yeah, I like that idea. I've always liked that idea.
Really, you're a cult leader. I know
I
it.
like
You have
that
it in
idea.
you.
I do.
You have it in you. What would you call your cult?
I've been wrestling with
Starship.
that because you know how at Google the Google employees, they're called Googlers.
Uh huh.
You know, and then like there's this guy, John Lee Dumas, and he's a podcaster, and he's like, "What's up, Fire Nation?" And it's a entrepreneur on fire podcast, and he calls it Fire Nation.
Oh man.
And so I'm like, oh, I gotta think of like a thing. I gotta think of like Americans are from America. What are the people from Sora's cult called? You know, there's the Scientologists.
Sorens.
Sorans.
Yeah, Sorens.
Because my name is actually the worship of Suyura. It's called Saura. And so I feel like it's like almost redundant to give it its own cult name. I don't know. Anyway, so we were talking about something important before that point about civilization always surviving, a piece of it always surviving. It's like the people who still listen to music on the record players.
Mm-hmm.
They keep it alive, you know?
Yeah.
And so we can actually find what America would probably look like if the Europeans never came, because there's other untouched civilizations. Civilizations is too big of a word. Other untouched communities that are kind of like frozen in time.
Civilization, communities, factions.
Yeah, I bet there's like a little area of natives.
Cliques.
I bet there's natives that like live like the same. Probably not many of them.
In
Maybe
America?
there's just 5. Maybe there's just 5 in America.
There's just a few.
Yeah, but maybe there's some that just, they never go to the store. They don't get in cars. They live off the land.
You're like, that's the funny thing is that with all the progress that we're experiencing, it seems that like with, let's say with a more hipsterish type of movement, it seems that it's geared towards trying to get back to that.
Right.
Like single source, grow your own food,
I'm
organic,
kind of a hipster, yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. Which is funny because it's like going like full circle.
Yeah. Well, so in my mind, progress is about
Money,
valuing. No,
growth, capitalism.
Not just that, but
kidding.
as an end, but as an end toward a different goal, as a means towards a different goal.
Towards
But
socialism.
No, towards,
Capitalism to socialism to communism, like Marx.
to me, it's
I'll
about
stop interrupting you.
it's
Sorry.
about rewarding the top quality producer. And so for me, like the hipster part of me wants to get the best coffee, and we have a different definition of what is best, right? So so for me, like I feel like I've gone through this evolution with coffee where I like developed a taste that goes like really deep into the notes of the coffee, the way that people talk about wine.
Which is all bullshit.
I can pull out cinnamon and floral notes and honey and sometimes
you know that has a name.
tanginess.
You know that has a name, right?
Okay.
Being a wine, blah blah blah. You know that has a name, right?
Connoisseur.
No, it has its own name
Okay.
to be a wine expert like that.
Oh, a sommelier.
Is that what it's called? Sommelier, right?
Yeah, a sommelier.
So what is the name of sommelier for coffee?
No, so sommelier is not, that's like not the right word, because a sommelier is actually like saying I'm a doctor. Like a sommelier is saying I have the highest credentials in my knowledge of wine.
Okay, I'll have to look up that word.
A connoisseur is like
It's not a connoisseur.
Like a sommelier is about like I have the highest credentials. Like you actually have to be like tested.
Oh, okay. Right, they
to
get
become
tested.
a sommelier. Yeah.
So okay, so you're this is happening to you with
With coffee, yes, I've progressed to a point where I can make a distinction in the more subtle flavors of the coffee. And so, yeah, I can have the garbage Starbucks, and it's just about sugar. It's not about the complexity of the flavors. And so,
sugar bomb.
So as a person who consumes, taking it full circle to where we started, I feel a responsibility to reward with my dollars, my attention, my time, the producers of the highest quality within my neighborhood.
Let me ask you this though. Let's say you have local businesses, right?
Right.
So what do you do in the instance when the local business owner is an asshole?
I just don't support it. So yeah, the coffee shop that you mentioned, and let's not talk about that specific place, but I don't support that person anymore because that person is an asshole. And
Wait, we're talking about a coffee shop?
You had a coffee, the favorite coffee.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I just don't go there anymore because that person is an asshole. Because he made a particular good that I very much liked. And I place orders for it over and over and over again. I have to wait 3 or 4 days to get those orders. And then I decided, okay, why doesn't he just carry stock? You know, can we talk about like your business practice? Like,
because it's fresh.
Could you have like inventory? Could you have like Can I walk into a bakery and like get baked goods? Like, is that too much to ask? Like, and so when that happened a few times, and then at one point somebody ordered a cup of coffee and they tried it and they didn't like it, and they said, "Oh, I didn't much care for that coffee. I would have preferred if you did this, this, or this." And they gave him a little feedback, and he said, "Oh, you don't understand coffee." That's what he said. I'm like, oh.
So he sounds like a Frenchman.
No, I didn't mean to put any accent on it.
Or a down-home American.
No,
I'm just saying that because when I think of that mentality, I think of American and French people.
And the entitled,
like they know.
Yeah, dismissive. Yeah,
what's going on, and you don't.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I don't think that's.
That is not French. This is no. What is this? This is not coffee. It's not French.
Yeah, I have a particular kind of coffee I like, and
no offense, French people. I love your culture.
Yeah. And so I feel really fortunate because in this neighborhood, the kind of coffee I like is kind of abundant. Me and Nate have been traveling a little bit, and we go to these other cities, these bigger cities, and we'll find maybe like 2 coffee shops in the whole city that's doing the same thing. And we have 5 in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I feel very fortunate of that.
Yeah. I'm sad that this is the things that we get excited about, but I'm happy that they're there.
I mean, this is like Mother Earth type stuff. This is like, when we talk about the quality of beans, this is something that's sourced from the earth, that's been nurtured up, that's been hand selected, that's been washed or prepped, that's been shipped here overnight, that's been roasted with the finest delicacy, tasted, roasted again, re-roasted, adjusted, that's been freshly brewed, gently brewed in small batches, and then served up. And to think that it could come from Ethiopia or Kenya or Colombia and be served to me in 3 or 4 days, that's just mind-boggling. I think it's worth getting excited about.
Well, what if it's bullshit and it's just like Folgers and they're just like putting it and they're telling you that? Look, okay, I'm not saying that it is, but I think it's deep what you said. I think it's good what you said. I worked at a restaurant and it was a 5-star restaurant.
Okay.
It was not in this state. And this was the restaurant, like famous people went there. I waited on Shania Twain, if anybody knows who that is. Mm-hmm. But football players would go there. So the story is, I'm at work, and I get to work, and they have a talk before I shift. with the manager, and he's telling us, all right, listen up. We got some lobsters in. The chef, his cousin, is in Maine, and we just got them in. They're alive. They came in on the plane today, and we have 27 of them, and that's what we're selling tonight. And it's like, oh, okay, wow, okay. And then somebody decided to ask, did he really come in from Maine like that? And then the guy goes, no. He goes, but that's the story. That's the story.
But then a
It's
lobster
like,
connoisseur,
ooh, I learned something then.
a lobster connoisseur would know the difference. You couldn't lie.
Yeah, how many are those?
We know that Starbucks is technically burnt in the way they roast their beans, and we know that the beans may have sat in a warehouse for quite some time before it came from the
It's got mold
from
on
the
it.
Yeah, I mean,
Roaches crawling all over
oh
it.
yeah, God knows. But I don't know that
Rat
it's that
poop.
bad. But we know the
Kenny
difference.
G's.
We know the difference between the taste, and even if you didn't like the taste of the fresher stuff, you know the difference when you try it. And it was
When I taste Starbucks, I taste notes of Kenny G saxophones. You know he's the biggest like shareholder of Starbucks, right?
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, that's why I taste notes of Kenny G.
I wish I was the biggest shareholder of Starbucks. Man, that would be something.
Yeah, you'd have a lot of money.
I would.
Then you could start your cult.
I could. Actually, the amassment of resources is fascinating to me, as well as the amassment of people who believe in you and follow you, aka cult following, is actually important to me just because of the end result. It means to an end of making a massive impact.
So
That's really the root of it.
Do you mind if I ask you how old you are?
25.
Okay, so what is
My
your
birthday's next month. Woo woo. Okay.
Oh, what's your goal in life? You know, there's not very many 25. I don't think so anyway. Very many 25-year-olds who have like started like 4 businesses and these kinds of things and tried doing something like that and taking something like that on. You know, what do you think makes you like that? What do you think has made you like that? I suspect. Before you answer,
Okay.
I have to confess, I had an amazing father.
Okay.
Who spent time with me and showed me a lot of things. And a huge part of the reason that I am the way that I am is because of my dad, you know. And why? So what about you?
You know how they talk about nature and nurture, you know, what you grew up around as opposed to what you're made out of. Mm-hmm. I think that there's this dichotomy as well when it comes to motivation. And I think half of it is about where you came from. And I think the other half is about where you want to go. And so with my motivation there's that dichotomy as well, where I came from abject poverty, you know, mm-hmm. and I know there's people who grew up more poor than me. And now that I know more about the world, especially, I know that there's...
Right. It doesn't look so bad.
Right. It doesn't look so bad. But in comparison with what I can compare to, which was my community at the time, which was even some of my family.
So the neighborhood that you live in now...
Yeah.
The people that live around in the neighborhood that you live in now, if they went to go live back where you came from, would they freak out?
Oh, they'd freak out.
Yeah, I see.
And I saw my mom take some very big sacrifices to get us out of that situation, and at times bring us into worse situations, in my opinion. Even in our home here, you know, because we had a bad situation in Jersey and we moved here, and we had a bad situation at times here. And I think she's still living in a bad situation, but that's another story. Yeah, but it motivates me to never want to have to live like that. That's part of it. It's like I want to be in control enough to be able to avoid those types of things, and to honestly remove people I care about from those situations. And that doesn't just include my mom, because I think my mom has everything she wants. But I worry about my parents a lot. And
do you feel the need to leave your mark on the world? Do you feel you need to do that? Like with your name attached to it?
Yes.
Okay, why?
Very Achilles like.
You said Achilles?
Yes.
He did that historically?
Yeah. Historically, yes. So through that era, it was like in the Greek and Roman culture, it was like the highest level that you could attain is the level to be remembered.
Uh-huh.
But that's not where I get it from. I think that part of it comes from when we talk about the past. a lot of my efforts were stolen from me. And so I didn't get the opportunity I wanted next. That would have been a logical next thing because someone else got the credit.
Yeah, that sucks.
Like, it frustrates me to go to my very first job and to see things meticulously organized and they got like awards, and like I nearly got fired for doing that. Like I cleaned all the ketchup and stacked it organized up, and I like made sure we never ordered too much, because when people see ketchup meticulously stacked, they take 2 packs instead of a whole handful.
Yeah.
They really do only take as much as they need. When the napkins are set out as opposed to being inside the grabber,
Yeah.
they literally only pick from the top.
Yeah.
I learned that. And so now to go back to that restaurant and to see those things like that, and knowing I almost got fired for doing that. And now it's like common practice in that entire organization. And that's the accurate thing. I mean, this is a company that has locations all over the East Coast. And so it's just very hard for me to... So now people say that I'm a bragger, that I've kind of like come to the other side of it, because like it sucks whenever you don't get the promotion or the raise or the next logical job because nobody knows about your contribution.
Well, it seems like nobody, besides me, no, it seems like very few people want to hear other things like that. Like, this is what I did and this is what I did. And I don't know, you're not supposed to talk about the things that you did, why? I don't know, because at the same time, like, we have the opposite teaching going on at the same time, that it's all about you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In many ways, like through social media or the teachings through media, traditional media, that it's all about you. It's like self-centered and get whatever you want, fulfill your desires, whatever. Yet you're not supposed to talk about that, like your accomplishments.
I think it depends on what you value in the world. So there's different camps, and I think we might be in different camps as far as that goes. So for me, if I was to talk about like what is the meaning of life, what is the pinnacle point, I would say that the crowning and pinnacle point would be achievement, and not achievement for achievement's sake, but achievement in providing value and solving problems and your impact in people and your ability to change the status quo for the better. Like, that's important to me beyond everything else. But you might say you just be happy. You just have peace of mind. You just spend time with your family. You just are there for them. You might say that those are the pinnacle achievements of humanity, is to be happy.
Yeah, look, you're kind of right, because but this is new to me. I kind of dig the Rasta philosophy.
Yeah.
And the Rasta philosophy, their number one teaching is that life is to be happy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just forget it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no point. What's the point? What are you doing here? You're miserable. It's like, what do you?
I like.
And many things will come from that, from that joy. That you don't have to necessarily think about. The course will run itself in a positive way through that, without having to figure it out. Now, the responsibility that you feel. This is a therapy session with Goliath Flores here.
Absolutely.
No, the responsibility that you feel for the world, so to speak, or to steer the world, or to have an effect or impact on it. I'm reading a book by Dr. Gabor Mate right now, and he talks about that is a trait of some sort of ADD. That ADD people feel responsible and a deep desire to change the world. It's like an impossible task,
I know, tell that to Mandela.
Yeah, but I mean, so some people achieve it sometimes. At what cost? I don't know. It's like, do you want to?
I think it's just about going back to what I said about it's about what you value. Yeah. If you value happiness over achievement, then you shouldn't be pursuing a job that's not making you happy. You should just be happy.
Unfortunately, I don't value achievement as much.
Yeah, and so that's the differences of our. So I think success is about what you measure, right? And so if you measure happiness over all things as a measurement of success, but you see somebody pursuing careers, quote unquote, success at the expense of happiness, then that's not success. But for me, I am willing to make sacrifices, and I've learned how you don't actually have to do that, but I'm willing to make certain sacrifices in my immediate joy in order to achieve what I think and what I measure as success.
You remind me of this this thing this really good piece that I wrote. That I read. I've been writing a lot. That I read by the creator of Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh,
Have you seen that?
him.
Have you seen that thing that he wrote? It's a speech, a transcript of a speech.
Help me think of his name. It's like
Walton Willis Watterson, Bill Watterson.
maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
The creator of Calvin and Hobbes.
Because I'm thinking of a particular comic strip writer. He was on the Tim Ferriss podcast.
Well, his speech. Oh,
he was the writer of Dilbert. That's who it was.
He was talking about. He was addressing the class of 2010 or I don't know what, and he told them, like I especially like the last 3 paragraphs of his speech where he's talking about. Many people will tell you, oh my God, it's so hard to encapsulate it, but he's like many people will try to tell you the meaning of life. And that if you take a job with less, that pays less and is less ambitious to pursue other things that make you happy in life, that you're some sort of slacker or that you may even be some sort of subversive, then society will see you that way. And he's saying, I'm telling you that it's totally okay. And before this, he gave the story of his career as a cartoonist and how he was offered mad amounts of money to put his cartoons on mugs and T-shirts and lunch pails and whatnot, but he would have to edit his cartoons in a different way. He's like, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think part of my evolution as a person, and this is somewhat recent, is to have the ability to be distinct, separate my values from your values, and not so much to project my values onto you. And so if my understanding is that your
not
measurement,
like a vegan.
Yes. I think in that case, it's like, it's kind of a different situation.
I'm just kidding.
In that the choices of everybody actually does have a dramatic effect on the individual. But anyway, I've learned to separate, what I value from what you value, and to not if you were to ask my opinion about what you should do, my first step, and this is me as a salesman, this is me as a marketer, and this is me as a friend, is to understand what outcome it is that you most want, and then to try to give you advice that I think would get you to that outcome from my limited experience. And so when someone tells me, I'd like to have a successful business, well, what does success look like to you? Because success is like this word that's like a mask that each of us can put on, and we would look totally different.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah. And so my version of success is totally different than yours. And so I've learned I'm trying to work on not putting on my glasses looking at you, try to see things through.
Don't you spill that water on this.
I won't. It just
computer.
slid a little bit. Yeah.
That would be very bad.
Good dash.
Put it over there.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Someone's spending too much time with toddlers.
Me? Yes, I know. Was I just talking to you like a toddler? I'm sorry. Hey, I spent a lot of time with my kids. I'm richer than Steve Jobs, if you ask me. He didn't spend time with his kids, but everybody uses his products, and he's loved by people that don't give a shit about him really, and he doesn't know.
But going back to your point, nobody's perfect. No, I know. He was just so visible, and he was just so intense that his flaws are so huge to us, and his success is so huge to us.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any Apple products, so it's not very successful over here on my end.
Yeah.
So,
I thought there was an Apple monitor over there. No.
That's Patricia's. This is a tower.
Oh,
Apple
your wife's
tower.
things are not your things.
No, I don't use it.
The dynamic.
You see where it is right there? It's all unplugged on the corner.
The dynamic of relationships are so interesting to me.
Really?
Yeah.
I think they're boring.
No, I think they're so interesting. I was asking my friend this the other day. I was asking her, I was like,
guy thing to say.
She's like a stay-at-home mom, this friend of mine, and she has money all the time. And I said to her, do you get an allowance? Can you just pull out money out of the bank when you want?
Did she slap you?
How does that work? No,
bitch.
I didn't want to offend her, but I was just understanding. I was just trying to understand the dynamic of her relationship. It's kind of shocking for me because the last serious relationship that I was in, I had 4 jobs and my boyfriend was unemployed for months, for 8 months at least.
Huh.
And so I gave him all my tips from my 2 restaurant jobs in cash and change. And he supposedly got on the bus and went all over the city looking for jobs.
He was all like, hey, baby, I just spent all my time loving you.
It was pathetic. And then it turned out that
he's
he
like,
was-
that's why I can't get a job, because I'm just too busy thinking about you all day. And and when you come home, I'm ready for you. It's like, no, that's not what it was.
No.
No, you would come home and he would be playing video games.
No, he would actually make the effort to go out and look for jobs. But then he would, this is what would happen. He would stomp into a building, and I saw it firsthand once. He didn't know I was there. He would stomp into the building and he would yell at the top of his lungs, "Are you guys hiring? I need a job."
So he didn't want a job.
No, he was like demanding. He was like
he had
angry.
Tourette's.
He was like out to get the world, you know? Do you know about people like that?
I don't know. No, tell me.
He would just like yell at people like, "Why won't you hire me? I don't understand. Why nobody will hire me?" And
Well, that's why, because you're yelling at me.
I think like even before that though.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was a train wreck. I don't know what I saw in him, but
You're a fixer-upper.
maybe I
He's
might
a bit
be.
of a
My mom is so bad about that.
fixer-upper.
My mom is so bad about that. She takes in stray people.
We're all a bit of a fixer-upper.
I don't know what he's singing.
It's a song from a kids movie, Toddlers again.
Okay.
It was a toddler. It's great. It's a good song. No, wait. I don't remember what movie it's from. It's from Frozen. Yeah, she's like, the guy is flawed, and he's like, he's a bit of a fixer-upper. And they're like, but we're all a bit of a fixer-upper. But it's not true. We're not all a bit of a fixer-upper. So you do that? Do you have the fixer-upper tendency?
I don't know that I do, but I think I have had time periods of my life where I've been willing to put up with more and compromise more than I should have. And so now the dynamic is interesting because I went from that serious relationship to several bad short relationships to now I'm with a guy who's like 3 or 4 times more successful monetarily than I am. Mm-hmm. And so he at times helps me, and it's like very interesting to see kind of like not as extreme, but kind of like the opposite end of it.
Yeah.
You know, the other side.
So
of the
now
coin.
you're the one needing help sometimes.
Yeah.
Instead of, okay.
Yeah, and it's like
Yeah,
really
that is
strange.
interesting. Yeah.
And then
Like, I used to have this, I had an ex-girlfriend, and I used to beat her, but now my wife beats me. And I get to see how it is.
to be physically abused, to be the abuser and now the abused.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. So I want to, if you don't mind you talking about it, you mentioned to me that you said it'd be cool if you were born a white male.
Oh yeah, and not for the reasons that you think, not for like the white privilege reasons. Those are cool too. Mm-hmm. Actually, I don't feel like my outwards match my inwards in a way.
People make assumptions about you.
Yeah, they make so many assumptions about me. Like, okay, on like the most base level, like music. I've actually just recently, since I started dating Nate, gotten into Drake, but I never listened to like that kind of music really. Actually, I got into like the Missy Elliott era. Music makes you lose control. Actually, I got into that, but I think people make all these assumptions about like what kind of music I listen to.
So let me see. Don't say anything.
Okay.
Let me see. Don't say anything. And then
well, actually, you actually know what kind of music I
know.
like.
No, I don't actually. But I'm looking at you, and I'm a stranger.
Okay.
I see you, and then I could actually make out that you would not be into, let's say, oh man, I can't think of his name right now, but I like some of his songs. That you would be into. I'm sorry, excuse me, the guy who peed on his girlfriend. What is this?
Oh, R. Kelly.
R. Kelly, like that. I can make out that you wouldn't be into R.
All
Kelly.
the things he's been known for. That's great.
I know, isn't that crazy? It's just so.
That's
sorry,
so
R. Kelly.
weird.
Hey, that song. Those songs you have, they're really good.
Yeah.
But I could make out that you wouldn't be like into that, just because of the style, like the style you have going on. But but people who are not as aware of cues as I am would probably come up to you and like they would be like, "Hey, girl," like them like that. Do white girls do that to you?
Oh my
Like,
god.
they do that to you?
Oh my god.
Tell me some stories. Come
My
on.
life is so crazy. Like, and I can't. I've actually just recently realized that some of the challenges that I have with assumptions and the people that approach me that I wish they didn't, it happens to all women. 1s to 10s. I usually put myself in like the 6 to 7 scale, 5 if my hair's not done. But like, it happens to all women. 1 to 10, dude. 1 to 10. Women are harassed.
Harassed like by men, like sexually
in public. Yes. It's
oh
so
yeah, of
bad.
course. Yeah.
It's so bad. And so I used to think it had a lot to do with assumptions that men made about me, but no, it's just all women.
So
all
they
women,
harassed you like they you thought they were making assumptions about you because because you're black, because your complexion. And
yeah.
I see. Really?
Yeah, but
oh,
no.
you thought it was because of that. No, men are just dogs. Don't you understand that?
Now I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have no idea how men are. Like
I'm learning.
I have a guess that your boyfriend, he knows how men are. Well, he's a man.
I don't know. He's a lot different than most men.
But I'm saying, but he
lot
knows.
Different.
He's these dudes are animals.
Yeah.
They're animals.
Yeah, he has a couple friends that are animals, so he probably knows.
Yeah.
But he's a lot different than most men. It's very baffling.
Okay, so that happens. That happens to you, and
So for instance, my friends know this. My friends from like high school and things. I grew up my whole life listening to rock music, and in high school and middle school, I got really into hardcore. I got into Chiodos, Alisana, Bless the Fall, all these different like bands with long hair. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got into metalcore a little bit. Protest the Hero. You have no idea about any of these bands I'm telling you.
Nope. But don't feel bad. I don't know anything.
So there's been like some weird situations that's happened to me. So this one time that I got into an Uber, and this guy was like blasting like Bless the Fall song from like '07, like old music, you know, like. You
freaked him out.
I freaked him out because I was like, oh my God. And I started singing it, and I knew more of the words than he did.
He's like, he went home and he's like, this black girl.
He had to rethink his life.
He came into the car, and it's like, because, you know, people out here are very dichotomized. They're very labeled.
Yeah.
Like, and the weird thing about living in Jacksonville, in this area of the South, is that people fall in line with these things. Like, white people act like white people, and black people act like black people. And then there's this little middle ground around here anyway.
Right.
You know where I've seen that break apart? Is the town center.
Yeah.
That corporate ass town center is people are all mixed up. Like people are all meshed together, and there's different kinds of people of all different kinds of people and different levels of.
Yeah, I have to fundamentally disagree with your idea that people fall in line. I think that it has a lot to do with what environment you're raised in, right? I like rock music because I was raised listening to rock music. It makes sense for me to listen to rock music. If you know my parents, it makes sense.
Have you seen that Dave Chappelle skit about music and culture? And he says white people can't dance.
Well, no.
But he says it's not that white people can't dance. He's like, it's just that they dance to a different kind of music. And he goes around, and I'll post it in the show notes actually, so you can see it. Oh. But he goes.
That's some deep stuff.
Yeah, and he goes to I'll just tell you now then. So he says he goes and he gets John Mayer to play guitar, and he starts playing this like rock music. He's like, we're here at a busy, posh New York restaurant. It's like lunchtime, and go ahead, John Mayer, let's see what happens. And John Mayer starts playing the guitar, and people start jumping up, and they start moshing. They start hitting each other and breaking tables over each other, and it's like, you know, because this is saying that's how they dance. And then women start taking their clothes off.
Oh my God.
And then he's like, we're at another business meeting. Let's see how it goes in this kind of situation. John Mayer, play something smooth that white people like. And he starts playing some like hippie music, like it's Grateful Dead sounding. And then so the women start taking their clothes off, and they start doing all kinds of stuff like that. And then he goes into a black barber shop, and he goes, let's see how it works out here. And John Mayer starts playing some guitar leads, and then they tell him to shut the fuck up, you know, because he says, yeah. So, you know, I shouldn't have told you that story. I should have just linked you to the thing. But
I think it proves your point, though, in that it goes kind of back to what I was saying again about what it is that you value. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about your yardstick of success. I mean, that has to do with what does a successful dancing look like? Like, successful dancing to a black person is totally different than what good dancing looks like to a white person. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have those people who are so exceptional, they transcend the barriers of race. I think Michael Jackson did that. I think he made music that was so I was going for that word that means ascension. But I think he made music that was so good that
Yeah, he's amazing.
like so many people loved him.
Yeah.
Of all races
China.
and all over the world. Yeah.
Russians. He was like, he's got to be the most famous person ever. Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. Yeah.
That is like such a hell.
When he died, that's gonna be like a milestone in my life that I'm always gonna remember.
Mm-hmm.
That was a catastrophic, and Robin Williams. That was a catastrophic moment for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Prince really got me.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson too.
That hurt, but not
Prince
as bad.
was like,
I mean, that hurt. I mean, that's like an important.
it was a shock to me,
Yeah.
that one. I was like, what? Prince? Like, he can't die.
Yeah.
Prince can die?
Yeah.
He can't die.
I
Prince
have
can't.
this
You're not
fear.
allowed to die. You can't die, Prince.
I have this fear
This
that
is
I
crazy.
think kind of
Oh
is
my
more
God,
along the
anybody can
line
die.
of your. I have this fear that I think is more along the line of your thinking. I have this fear that maybe there's no like great musicians left. Maybe there's no great people. Like when Nelson Mandela was gone, and when Michael Jackson was gone, and when Prince was gone, it's like, what talent is rising up to replace these people? What is our
All
what
this
is our
mediocre-
standard period?
All these mediocre people.
Who is our standard bearer now? Yeah. Who's our next great stars? I don't
It's
I don't think it's gonna
Mark
be-
Zuckerberg. What do you? Hey.
I mean, that's a good standard bearer, but I mean, I'm very proud of what he's been able to accomplish and what he's continuing to work on. Elon Musk as well, but I don't know.
Those people don't. I know this is gonna sound stupid, but those people don't impress me that much. And I know that
Yeah,
they're
it's all about
intelligent,
you.
and I know that
Altruistic.
but when they don't impress me that much, because when you start off at a certain place around certain people and a
With
certain
certain
family,
advantages,
yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah, duh. It's like,
I mean, I could make the argument that there's a good many people that go to Ivy League schools that have not gotten anywhere near the level of accomplishment that Mark Zuckerberg has, or positive impact that Mark
Yeah.
Zuckerberg has. I mean, think about how many of those people just go off to Wall Street and make their money. And
but you're assuming that Facebook is a positive thing.
I am, and assuming is the wrong word. I think I'm valuing that Facebook is a positive thing, because I know for a fact that Facebook has had a massive positive impact. We could agree, I think, that Facebook has had a negative impact. But I think as far as legacy goes, I think overall he's made a positive impact. I think the same criticism can be made of President Obama, right? We could talk about drone strikes. We could talk about executive orders. We could talk about civilian casualties. We could talk about
Which are important.
questions. I have questions about the last
Guantanamo.
2 budgets. Yeah, I mean, he's made efforts to close Guantanamo. That's not an overnight thing.
Yeah.
But I'm saying there's many things about his legacy that we could question. But I think there's definitely positives there too. You know.
So what does it matter? What, like legacy? How does that come into it? Like legacy.
Legacy is important because it's about permanent measurable change, I think, is why legacy is important. Carnegie killed people.
Who is that?
Carnegie.
Oh, you're talking about the guy in 1920s? The riots for the workers' unions. Yeah, okay, he killed people.
Yep, Rockefeller killed people. But there's no question that I think in my mind, there's no question that Carnegie has made permanent, positive, lasting impact on the world. I want to say there's 1,000 Carnegie libraries that will probably never close unless there's some catastrophic event that destroys them.
Like Carnegie Hall.
The Carnegie Hall is a gorgeous. Have you seen Carnegie Hall?
No.
I was very fortunate to stay in New York 4 years in a row, and I stayed pretty close to Carnegie Hall at the Park Central Hotel. And it's just amazing. And I got to go every single time. It's just, for a little girl like me who grew up in Middleburg, I mean, the Carnegie Hall is like baffling. I can't wait to go to Paris. I can't wait to go to Egypt. I can't wait to go to Saudi Arabia and to UAE. I want to go to all of these places where there's more baffling things like that. I mean, we can talk about how Manhattan is baffling.
So
but,
I'm
like,
curious. I'm curious
Carnegie
though.
Hall on its own.
Like Facebook, what parts of it do you see as positive?
I think it's incredible. During the Arab Spring, on Facebook, I work for 2 app developers who I cannot name, that produce games for Facebook, and I've worked with them since 2009. And one particular developer created an app before Periscope, before Meerkat, that allowed live video on phones, and it was actually called Live Video. That was the name of the app. And I was seeing the Arab Spring in Egypt with a guy who spoke English from his phone to phone. This is happening. This is happening right now. And there was all these things that were happening around him that I never heard about on the news.
Yeah.
There was people like thrown into vans that still are gone. They have disappeared from the face of the earth. They probably were dead and thrown into a hole somewhere and never to be seen again. There were people giving out bottles of water and food in totally different subject, but in Hong Kong during their protests. Umbrellas, tents, giving it away in the streets, supporting each other.
Yeah.
It really rarely got violent, and so it's just like a different perspective to have that moment. I would never have been able to download that app to see the Arab Spring firsthand, to see protests in Hong Kong firsthand, to see what so many other events that I saw. I actually saw a vehicle blow up in India firsthand.
But wait a minute. How is this positive though? Like, what positive effects does it have?
It's so positive to be connected with people on the other side of the world and get a firsthand view
and not be able to do
of
shit.
History as it's unfolding.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
The powerlessness that I have now is temporary. But
Like
these
social
tools-
media, Facebook especially, there's been so many papers written about it that it's detrimental to people's, like it exacerbates depression and increases loneliness.
Yeah,
and
but I think that depression stems from not having a life full of value. And so regardless whether you're on Facebook or you're off Facebook, if you don't have a life of value and purpose, you're going to be unhappy. And so because I'm deeply...
You're like, you can blame everything except the product.
I think there's definitely negatives. I think we might disagree about what the negatives are of Facebook, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I actually think that a lot of the things that people think is negative about Facebook's monetization, Facebook's algorithms, I think I see them from a solution mindset, right? So it's like there's laws
Right,
that are...
and I see them as a corporation
Yeah.
that is predatory.
Yeah.
And will do whatever it takes
So
to
I
get their
think
IPO.
the ability to connect people from all around the world, to connect with people that you haven't seen in years.
Yeah,
and
but
that
I'm
you're
saying
removing the
email
barriers.
does that, and other applications do that, and
But not on the
Friendster did
same
that,
level.
and
Not on the same
Fiverr
level.
did What is it? Fiverr? No, not
Not
Fiverr.
Fiverr, no.
Friendster and High Five
But
did
the
that.
reason that Facebook is getting so
MySpace.
many users is because it's doing it better than all of those things you mentioned. Friendster was terrible. Can we talk about that? Friendster was awful.
But what's so great about Facebook is, it's expanded into this, like it kept adding things. Now companies,
tools in the
these
toolbox to
companies
communicate.
don't like Facebook and Google. They don't innovate anymore. That's not where their power is coming from. Now they're just buying out other companies that are doing things that are competing with them. Or
Google is doing
things
so
that they
many
want.
innovative things. I mean, again, that goes back to what is it
Yeah,
that we
I
value
know that
as far as innovation? What is innovation?
They were doing innovative
We
things.
could talk about Ford. What is Ford's innovation in manufacturing? Ford's innovation was taking the chicken assembly line, right, and bringing that assembly line to manufacturing of cars. He didn't invent manufacturing. He didn't invent the
But I'm
assembly
saying,
line.
so is everybody
His
having a
innovation
car?
was bringing those together.
Like, is everybody
So,
having a car a positive thing?
I think it's a great thing.
I think the verdict is still out on that, though.
I think it's a great thing that we can get from point A to point B. I think it's great that you got to a point where you didn't want to be in LA anymore. And you could come to the other side of the country.
I could have done that without a car. Like I'm saying, it doesn't have
With
to be
very little time.
Like I heard a story. I don't know how true it is, but I think they said it was true. I heard a story here in Jacksonville, a local story, about a person who there was these very wealthy business owners here in town, and it was a long time ago, and and they decided to build the housing away from downtown, which is where everybody worked at the time.
Right.
And then they also decided to engineer the situation where these people's buses would pass by the car dealerships that they also owned.
Mm-hmm.
So they were making money downtown. They were making money in the housing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were going to make money as these people
drove past
these cars with the billboards and whatnot, and they'd get their own car. So like cars are a big problem. I think people are realizing it more and more that this car-centric society, because like, for example, other societies like in Europe are not like that. Like there's a lot of walking that goes on, but our cities are built, our lives are built around the car. We build our roads around them. There's so much road and all the lighting and,
the construction and the waste.
Yeah. And can you get across the country in another way? Yes.
I mean,
but that's not good for capitalism.
We're going to have so many cool things. I mean, I think we're going to have a Hyperloop. I think we're going to have...
What is that? Oh, a train that goes in a circle?
Elon Musk's invention. It's basically a tube with a thing inside of it with pressure, and the tube shoots through the vehicle shoots through the tube at outrageously high speeds. Mm-hmm. And so you can go from, say, LA to New York City in 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be monumental. And so I think that we're going to have some breakthroughs in our transportation. But can we look at the breakthrough of the vehicle as what it is, as a breakthrough in transportation? That we went from a horse and buggy at a certain speed with certain dangers. I mean, how many people fell down cliffs in Oregon, fell down cliffs in North Dakota, trying to cross the country, where now we have these vehicles that are infinitely more safer. And now we're going to have autonomous vehicles that, again, infinitely more safer. Soon we'll have solar power, so we'll have a total abundance in energy. So some of the problems with fossil fuels with cars, gone. Mm-hmm. So I think the optimistic part of me is about...
Where is all this going, though? Like, for what?
The optimistic part of me is...
What's the meaning of life, Sora? That's my question to all my guests. What's the meaning of life? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not really asking that question.
No, I really believe that the meaning of life is the meaning that you create within it, and that you have an obligation to create meaning and value.
Yeah, so this is what that Calvin Hobbes thing, author thing that I was telling you about says. Okay, so you told me one positive thing about Facebook. You want me to give you my list about negative? You want me to give you my negative list? I don't interrupt you. I'm not interrupting you.
Okay.
You started talking about China and whatnot.
Yes, the ability to connect, I think, which is at the core of their mission.
I don't understand why I sent you a MySpace friend link and you didn't even friend me. Like, you didn't even acknowledge it.
I haven't gotten on MySpace in 2.5 years.
Oh, that's why?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I haven't been on there either.
Did so many things well. It makes me so pissed off.
For music, it was amazing. I loved it.
It still is. And that's
and everybody used to design their own pages. It was like their own websites.
It was amazing. But the tools that they created for people to create for themselves was their eventual downfall. Do you know?
No, wait. No. So where's this going? Where's the social media going?
Can we talk about MySpace for a moment? Because this is something I've been wanting to talk about.
Okay.
Everybody has the wrong idea about why MySpace failed. It's like we just lived it and everybody has already forgotten. Can I wake everybody up? Can we remember why it is that MySpace failed? It was a critical moment. It was a one single day. I wish I knew the date. That MySpace opened up HTML in comments. You could post HTML in comments. That was the downfall of MySpace.
I loved it.
It was instantaneous. People would build porn sites. Whole porn sites. Videos, pictures, GIFs, all through a single comment. They would just copy the whole HTML from that website and paste it in the comments. And you were like, holy crap, I don't want to see this. Or they would have like product e-commerce sites in a comment. And it became so spam ridden. Everybody was looking around to see what kind of social network they could join. And right at that moment, Facebook opened it up so anybody could get a profile.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
through Mark Zuckerberg's stolen idea.
It coincided.
From the Winklevosses. And then him and his lonely ass sitting in his dorm rooms like, they don't invite me to parties. Fine, I'll make a social platform and spread this and I'll be king.
Winklevosses are sore losers, huh?
Hey, in a country that values like if you're the winner, then the means justifies the end. I guess so.
No, I think I don't know the total details of their court case, but they were awarded quite a bit of money if I remember correctly.
Yeah, millions of dollars, maybe.
So
million.
like
probably some
probably
change.
So probably
some change for Zuck.
So probably they've been they've won, right? Like they've been taken care of. The justice has been served.
I mean, they're already wealthy. They didn't need any money.
Oh, okay.
It's
They
just
did their
like
thing.
Yeah, it's just.
I honestly don't know much about them until that movie, The Social Network, which by the way, Zucks hates that movie. Whoo, he hates that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see why it doesn't really portray him very well. He's a very slow, deliberate talker. He's not a fast, hyped up, nerdy. That was kind of a caricature of him, huh?
I don't know.
You didn't see that movie?
I don't know much about the guy. Because I don't care that much to know that much about the guy. Mm-hmm. I don't care to know very much about Steve Jobs. Mm-hmm. I have my interest in people's at a different arena. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And but remember, how we were talking about earlier, before we started the podcast, how I tell you that I zoom out of our current situation by looking at ancient history and other kinds of history, and I realized these great empires were great, and people within them never saw them failing. How could it possibly ever fail? So I look at the things that are happening right now, and I try to see what's the long term. What's valuable in the long term, which is also antithetical to our economic system, which is all about short-term gain, screw the long term, we'll deal with that later when it becomes profitable to deal with it, Sounds funny. My daughter's singing right now, and I don't know if you can hear that. So, why was I talking about that?
I don't know. You were on to something.
Yeah, I was going somewhere with that, and
You were zooming out and you were looking at society from a historical standpoint.
Yeah, so all of this stuff, all of the cars that we're talking about, and the Facebook and the internet, and what does it mean, And I'll tell you one thing, the thing you said about MySpace is I loved the HTML on MySpace. My brother was learning HTML. He doesn't know anything about computers. My brother was learning HTML on MySpace. Mm-hmm. Now, there was to me, Facebook was just about. I could see it from the very beginning of joining the website. I gave them all false information and whatnot. And because I'm like, oh, this is a data collection system because I can't do anything with it. It's set up for me and I cannot alter it. I can't change it. I can't make it my own.
But you understand why they can't make it altered.
Well, I don't know. I don't think you understand. Why? I mean, you can.
I understand.
How can you know
from my perspective
why they're doing what they're doing?
From my perspective, Facebook has given us a massive toolbox to create and share and connect with different people, and to do that at what level we feel comfortable with. In fact, you were able to go in and plug in false information because that's what you felt comfortable with. Yeah. And I know plenty of people who do that.
Why would I give a corporation all this information?
That's fine, and I think that's perfectly acceptable. But here's the thing. Here's the key thing. The moment they open up the HTML, they're going to be in the same collapse point as MySpace. Right?
Fuck them. Let them collapse.
There's a line. There's a line that they have to.
Hey, the party it'll be great.
I think to me, it's all about our experience as a user. I think it's about our experience as a user. I personally did not want to live in that world of MySpace when it got flooded with HTML comments of spam and awfulness.
Hey, I don't remember the porn on there. I remember the music and people sharing music on there. As a musician, it was fantastic. And I remember being able to make my page look like how I wanted it to look like. So the artistic side of the internet is suffering. A lot of people talk shit about Flash, that they don't like Flash. What's the point? Hey, I don't want to see your Flash intro. Just show me the hours of your restaurant. I get it. When it comes to something like a restaurant or an auto parts store, you don't need to have a Flash intro. But it seems like so few people are doing. They're not making art out of the internet anymore, which is something, of course, I don't expect everybody to empathize with, but something that I miss.
I don't know. I don't even know that you're right in that because you don't have internet at home, self-professed, and you go to a coffee shop and you do what you need to do, and you spend 10 minutes poking around.
Yeah, but I've had the internet for the past solidly. I've had the internet for the past decade at home.
The internet's so vast. Maybe you just haven't been finding.
Are you kidding me? I know. I'm like a professional internet user. I'm so professional. I can go in there and knock it all out like in 30 minutes. I go to the coffee shop, take out my Word document, I look up what I'm doing, and I do it. I fart around for 10 minutes, like I said, and I'm out. Okay,
I feel
baby?
like we were on to something. We were on to something really important, and I feel like we need to like backtrack to that. And so,
Which part though?
boom.
Hi, baby. That's what we're on to right here. No, I mean, if you think about it, like if we have to stop and you think about it, you can just come back and we can talk about it.
I was really thinking about,
Because that's how it happens.
No, we were talking about what was important with Facebook, what is valuable about Facebook, and I think the root of it is at the core of their mission, and I think they're succeeding in that. They're allowing us to connect in ways that we've never been able to connect before, and I think of these tools on the internet as
Y'all don't mind a baby crying, do you?
Oh, okay. I think of these tools on the internet as like this massive breakthrough that some people are going to use in idle and some people are going to use in mastery. I think it's brilliant that you can create a podcast. You've got 2 mics and 2 webcams, and this is like legit. Like,
poor baby. Está llorando la bebé. Yeah, me too. I think it's great too, and I don't know how more people don't do it. Like,
yeah.
But see, this is a different investment than like me just like posting shit on Facebook. Because
Right.
It's a different investment because this is like an active work of art for me that I can evolve and interact with, and I also can meet and sit down and talk with people.
Yeah.
You know, and it's digital still,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of things going on.
Those
You know,
same
but it's
things
fun.
that you love.
And it's and it's different. I can do things with it.
Those same things that you love is what I love about Facebook. Because I have these tools to connect with people.
Yeah, but this is mine,
in
like,
person
more
and digitally.
largely. Oh.
I know. I'm saying I have this tool to connect with people both digitally and in person in a way that I would never. There's people that I've been able to make plans with to go see and hang out with that I wouldn't even have had any way of communicating with them, of any way to be able to find them in the past. That's kind of safe. So here's the thing. If somebody searches me, they search, Saura Johnston, and they find me on Facebook and all my other digital footprint, right? And they follow me, and they add me as a friend, and then they start to interact with me, and I decide, oh, this person's a lunatic. Block. Block. And to a certain extent, I can do that an unlimited amount. And I can decide that
You can block everybody?
I'm saying I can block that person on every single channel of communication.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's worked the opposite as it has in the past. So in the 80s, you had to know somebody's phone number. You had to kind of come across them and be like, oh, hey.
You'd have to go to the phone book and look at them, or you would have to actually physically walk and go figure out where they hang out.
Yeah.
And ask somebody about it. I kind of miss that. I think that was so. Life is so much more interesting now because look, memories. As people are sitting more and more, if they continue to sit more on digital media, like social networking, social media, there's no more memories. Like all the memories are like, oh, I remember that one time you posted that one thing and it was super funny. And that's like your memory. That's your memory. That's people's memory of meeting somebody. That's your memory of, instead of like a memory of like, oh, I went to the gas station and then this guy talked to me and then, whatever, when I saw you in the rain and,
I think there's these.
But the memories are suffering.
I think there's these strange people that are not leaving their couches and not leaving their computer desks.
On WoW playing World of Warcraft.
Yeah, there are strange people, but I think those people have always existed. And so people just use the tools the way they're going to use them, right? And so if you're a hermit, you're just going to be a hermit on the internet.
No. See, this is an argument that I ran across that I noticed. Espérame un momento, bebecita. This is an argument that I ran across recently. Like, for example, this company, I don't remember which company right now, but they were talking about, hey, it's not our responsibility. We don't make you buy our product. I know in larger quantities our product is bad for you, but hey, it's your choice. It's up to you. We're not telling you to do that, right? I'm like, wait. You're advertising this from grade school and schools with colorful things, with psychologists that help you put it together, and chemists that help you mix the proper amount of sugar and salt, so people will get addicted to it, and then you're going to give it to people and sell it to people, and you're going to have espera un momento, bebecita. And you're going to have what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, then you're going to have advertisements everywhere, and then you're going to tell people, oh, hey, it's not our fault. You made the choice. I'm like, no, like you put yourself, like you're like manipulated people to be this way. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that to what you were saying. I'm saying that it's not. Oh shit.
The question is about where you draw the line.
Baby, ahorita. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The question is about where you draw the line, right? So on the one hand, you can say that the advertiser is liable for the negative consequences of their product. And I think to a certain extent, they absolutely should be.
Okay. So,
it's just about how far does that liability extend, right? So
baby, no for this. This is what it's
I
like.
probably-
Sorry,
okay.
folks. This is what it's like over here with the little toddlers. She's not gonna shut up. I'm sorry.
okay, maybe mommy should hang out with you. You want to hang out with mommy?
She wants her daddy.
Oh, daddy's
Let's
girl.
show everybody your toe. This is, look at the toe. Mira el toe. Mira, ahí estás tú. So we have to continue this again because look what happens here.
What happens?
This. What am I? You want to keep talking? I'll
Do you want to
her.
pause? We could pause.
Actually, I don't know if we should pause. I'm gonna if we keep going like this, I'm gonna have to edit it. All right, keep talking to me. I'm gonna entertain her.
Okay, cool. So, baby toe. So I think it's about to what extent that you hold. Okay, so it's about corporate liability versus personal responsibility, and I lean more towards personal responsibility. And I also take a huge effort to be informed about the effects of my actions. Not that I'm as good about making decisions based on that knowledge. I think that if I was as logical as I hope to be, I would never ever eat sugar. Straight sugar, sugary drinks, candy, ice cream. Sugar scares the crap out of me.
Sugar scares the crap out of you?
Sugar scares the crap out of me.
Do you think it should be labeled like as a
But it is
dangerous
labeled.
subject?
I mean,
but I'm saying, do you think it should say Surgeon General's warning? Sugar.
No, that's excessive.
Consuming this sugary drink can give you diabetes.
No, I think that
How can you say no?
the public is more than informed about the effects of sugar.
No,
at
they
this
are
point.
not.
Oh, man.
Look, I go to Walmart, okay, and
people still smoke.
80% of the, like, not that many, but a lot do. I mean,
A lot.
but not that
It
many.
shocks me every
But
time
look,
I see them.
Look, when I go to Walmart and I look at all the people around me, what they're buying,
Mm-hmm.
right, and it's like Mountain Dew, and especially with minorities, it's like they're buying the crappiest soft drinks. They're
Yeah.
buying the big red soda with red number 40 in it
Yeah,
and
yeah.
whatnot. Because I play in the park downtown, and I'm seeing what the homeless people are. Okay, baby. No, across all like races or whatever, like class wise or economic wise. Luna, no, espérate, baby. This is not working. This is no. So I see what they I see what they're drinking, and it's like this kind of thing, and that's what made me think about the whole thing. Well, it's not our fault. It's because they're miseducated. I'm like, wait, you miseducated them, and you spent money miseducating them.
I don't
Like,
think it's that. I honestly don't.
What do you think it is?
I actually think the root of it is a true and disproportionate.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't care. I don't.
Who, the people don't care?
I just don't think that people care about the consequences of their actions. So
No, it's a miseducation. Like
No,
all
I
these
really
things,
think
all
they
these
don't
things
care.
stem. Even not caring
Yeah.
stems from no education, from not being educated. Hey, you gotta stop. This is not gonna work.
Okay.
Okay. Say bye, everybody. I'm sorry.
Bye.
So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to keep that last part
Yeah, probably not.
because she was like, nobody wants to
Lonnie
hear
through
that.
The whole time. Yeah.
Okay. So say bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, we'll talk again soon.
Oh no. I didn't realize it was so late. How long were we talking?
You don't know? Oh, like an hour and a half.
Hour and a half, really?
I mean, it's gonna be right now.